Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mint Door podcast. I'm Dr. Laura Schwindt.
And I am Dr. Karen Tindall, here once again.
And I would just like to say that we gave a fun presentation at Jumpstart in Phoenix last week. And what was really cool was we got to do it in a TV studio.
Yeah,
because Jumpstart went virtual. So that was a new experience and a really great experience. The Marks Pro did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I think it was just, it's a different skill, standing and presenting to cameras as it is to presenting to an audience. And even though we could see the audience, they're muted and they're quiet, because it was live, it did go out live, but it's all those cameras and knowing, are you looking at this camera or are we looking at each other or where the audience? And it was a really interesting experience, something that I would love to do more of, actually. Like I'd love to learn to be more, super professional at doing that, and just, it would be fun.
Yes, I agree. I will put that on our bucket list. That'll be more TV experiences for the Mint Door.
Yeah, sounds good.
I was really, I just really enjoyed the fact that we got such a great response from our time management talk. Yeah. And the comments that were really fun to see afterwards. Now, we didn't obviously read the comments while we were presenting, but afterwards we saw a lot of the comments in the chat, and I feel like it was well received. What surprised you the most about the comments from the audience when we presented?
I think what surprised me is how much everybody said they needed to hear this information. That was the first thing, is that they were thirsty for this information and they were ready to take it on board and make changes like then and there. I think the thing that was really interesting was how everybody kind of caught on to the idea of all the blue light that is emitted from our screens. And how that may keep us awake, because part of this time management thing, we were talking about effective sleep, weren't we, and how people could get a good night's sleep and what things they can do to maximize the potential of those 7 or 8 hours that they get in bed. But that was the one thing that people really liked, this thought, and were exploring these ideas of, what does it mean to have blue light on our phones? Can we switch it off? Does that make the difference? Can we still play on our phones? So it was an interesting idea that was lit in people's heads.
Yeah, I was really happy how receptive they were to the thought that just getting on your tech before bed can really prevent melatonin production, not only the start of melatonin production, but how much melatonin, and so can definitely affect your sleep. The one thing about doing it on a TV versus live in the audience was we didn't get to see the comments till afterwards. And there were a lot of comments about, okay, how can we prevent this blue light? Are there screen protectors? Are there ways to shut off the blue light emitting from your phone or your devices? Are there glasses? And had we had that interaction with a live audience, I think one of the points I would have brought up as well is that it's not just the blue light that kind of shakes up our brain, but actually too what you are viewing when you're on that tech. And a lot of times what we're viewing actually stimulates our brain, whether it be scrolling through Instagram or watching a TV show or a Netflix series or looking through emails. It stimulates our brain. So even though we may not be seeing the blue light, we are still kind of not giving our brain that adequate time to shut down and prepare for sleep. I don't know if you find that even when you're using like blue blockers, if you happen to check your phone, do you notice that you're not as relaxed as if you didn't before bed?
100%. Something that I learned. So I never, when I was in England, ever picked up my phone in the night. It just didn't. I don't even think I even had it in my bedroom. I don't know where I left it, but it definitely wasn't on my bedside table. I know that for sure. And then when we moved to the United States, number one, we didn't have a landline, just had our mobile. So that changed.
Right.
Firstly, that there was no communication like in our bedroom that we could pick up if we needed it. So I guess my phone came in for that. And I felt like I was a long way. Like if somebody needed to get hold of me, it's more difficult. I am a long way from home now. And I got used to the fact that my phone was by the bed. And moving internationally, it's pretty stressful. And I would wake up in the night quite a lot and just thinking of all the things that, that I needed to think about, or even things that I didn't want to think about. Like even now to this day, I don't think about my house back in England very much. I don't like to, because it kind of brings, it's better not to. Yep. So I put that one to one side, but I would pick up my phone in the night. Because I knew that I could get into a world where my English friends were awake.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
After midnight here, 6 a.m. in England, people are waking up, people are posting on Facebook, people are awake, it's their day. Yep. So I could easily pick up my phone, know that I could have interactions with people or text conversations. They'd say, surely you should be asleep. And you're like, oh, I can't sleep, I just thought I'd play on my phone. But what I found is it would take me ages to fall back to sleep after I had been on my phone. So I wasn't playing on my phone before bed so much, but I would pick it up in the middle of the night. And it is never a good move for me to pick up that phone in the middle of the night and play on it as a distraction, because it then wakes me up. Yeah, I'm sure it must be that blue light getting on the back of my eyes. But I know there was a comment that was left, and there was a question which I think would be an interesting one to address. But like ebooks, if people have ebooks on their tablets or whatever, laptops, if they were reading those in bed, is that still having the same effect?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that there are, devices that have filters that you can use, or obviously you can use blue blocking filters. And so I think that, depending on the book that you're reading too, it could excite your brain. So most of the time we think of books as being relaxing, but depending on what you're reading, if you're reading a very suspenseful murder mystery, I think we've all been there, where all of a sudden we get to that suspenseful spot and we're no longer tired. We're awake. We're like, okay, I got to read to the next chapter or whatever. So I think that, I think we need to be conscious of not just the light that's emitted, but also what it is doing to our brain as far as excitement levels.
Yeah.
And so if we can do activities that are more calming to our brain, and certainly I know that pretty much anything on electronic device is going to be stimulating my brain for the most part. Yeah. I like good old fashioned books. So yeah, but it's funny because we were talking about this at Jumpstart, and yet I'll be the first to admit we were not following the rules.
Sometimes.
And we both have Oura rings, which tell us data about our sleep. And I know that my sleep data when we were there did suffer. And so we have concrete proof of it too.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And I don't know if you find it, but I find that even in a normal day, it doesn't even have to be at bedtime, but my eyes feel tired when they're sat in front of a screen for a prolonged period of time.
Yep.
And sometimes I don't know, for example, my husband would say, oh, can you just look out on your phone, or can you just Google something? And I'll be like, I don't want to right now, because somehow I feel almost the energy zapping that happens from the device. It's a really difficult feeling to put into words, but I just sense that device takes energy. And also watching TV before bed. So, we like to watch a little bit of TV on an evening. We started a new show this week. There were only 2 episodes out, so it's going to slow us down, which is good, because we know that we shouldn't be watching too much TV on an evening. We don't have that much time. but it was called The Cleaning Lady, and it's actually, that is suspenseful. Okay, so we had 2 nights of watching suspenseful episodes of The Cleaning Lady, because she's not just cleaning people's houses in this show, she's cleaning up crime scenes. Crime scenes. It's good. I'd recommend it. And suspenseful TV. Anyway, last night we didn't have an episode of The Cleaning Lady to watch, and all of a sudden at about 9 o'clock at night, we realized we'd forgotten to take the dog out for a walk, which is so unlike us, because we religiously walk the dog every night. But I burnt dinner, so I had to go out and buy something extra to supplement what I had like burnt to a crisp in the oven, and it just put us off track. But then it was about 9:15 at night, and me and my husband went out for a walk with the dog. And when we were on our walk, I actually said, in summer, we wouldn't think twice about going out at 9:15 for a walk with the dog. And yet, because it's dark and cold, we don't do it. But we were dressed appropriately, and it was actually a really nice 15 minutes around the block. But the interesting thing was, I said, I'm not going to watch TV when I get back. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to read my book. And my book is something about creating your dream life. So it's not fiction, it's nothing stressful. And it was really interesting that I didn't feel so tired in my eyes before I went to bed. And I dropped off to sleep really easily. So it makes me think tonight, maybe we should go for a late dog walk again.
Yeah, what a nice, non-tech thing to do before bed. And then I'm sure the fresh air and the fact that it was dark outside too, it wasn't as stimulating as during the day. And so, I think there's so many creative ways that we can think about getting our brain ready for bed, so that when we do finally turn out the light, put our head on the pillow, we're not sitting there awake and tossing and turning or waking up. That's another interesting fact, is that when I am on tech before bed, I may fall asleep, but I actually wake up. And I have the data to show this. I will wake up like an hour after I fall asleep, wide awake. It's like some cycle that,
Do you think that ties into the fact that, we shared this last week as well, that being on a screen or watching TV, it delays the release of melatonin? It not only reduces how much melatonin by up to 50%, but it also delays the release by 3 hours. So maybe you were tired enough to fall asleep, but your body wasn't getting the message to stay asleep because the melatonin hadn't been released yet.
Exactly. Bingo.
It all ties in, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. So again, I would just like to say thank you to everybody that watched our presentation and gave us great feedback. We were super excited that you found it helpful and took some pointers, but remember, activities that shake up your brain, and try and do as few of them as possible before bed.
And we can wish everybody sweet dreams tonight, I think.
That's right. Sweet dreams. We'll be back for another episode later on. Take care, everyone. Bye.